People on that flight would later swear they felt the air shift the moment she walked in. A quiet, confident black girl holding a worn-out backpack and a tiny keychain of angel wings her mother had given her. But before any of them could blink, a passenger in a crisp suit stood up, pointed at her, and said the words that would start the storm. "She doesn't belong in first class." What none of them knew, not even the girl, was that the woman quietly checking the passenger list in the gate office, the woman whose decisions shaped the skies themselves, was her mother, and she was about to walk in on the scene no one would forget. The girl's name was Alana. She was 14, soft-spoken and painfully shy, the kind of kid who apologized when someone else bumped into her. Her school had nominated her for a National Young Innovators Award, and the airline had offered complimentary first-class seating to all finalists. She had spent the entire morning rehearsing how she would behave. Don't touch anything fancy, don't bother anyone, keep your hands folded, try not to breathe too loudly. It was her first time in first class. She stepped into the cabin, quietly searching for seat 1A. The leather gleamed. The windows were huge. Someone behind her murmured, "Is she lost?" She pretended not to hear. Then came him. A silver-haired businessman with a polished watch and the kind of arrogance that walks ahead of its owner. He frowned at her like she'd spilled something on his shoes. "Excuse me," he barked loudly. "First class is up here, you need to go back." Alana gently lifted her ticket. I'm in 1A." "No," he snapped, "you're not, give it here." Her hands shook as she passed him the boarding pass. He stared at it, jaw tightening. "This must be a mistake. I paid a fortune for my seat. I'm not sitting beside a child from economy who snuck up here. Stewardess." The whole cabin turned. Alana's ears burned. The flight attendant approached carefully, but the man cut her off before she could speak. "This girl shouldn't be here. Fix it." Alana swallowed the lump in her throat. She wanted to disappear, to shrink, to be anyone but herself. The attendant checked the tablet, nodded gently, and said, "Sir, her seat is 1A." The man scoffed. "Unbelievable. I want to speak to the owner of this airline. This is ridiculous." No one expected what would happen next. At that exact moment, a woman in a Navy corporate uniform walked onto the plane, head held high, stride calm, eyes sharp. Lana, Alana's mother. She had come aboard for a routine pre-flight operations check, tablet in hand, but the second she saw her daughter's face, red eyes, trembling lip, she felt her heart twist. "Baby," she whispered, stepping forward, "what happened?" The businessman groaned. "Finally, someone in authority. Your airline made an error. This girl, this economy kid." "That's enough," the flight attendant said quietly. But the man continued, pointing again. "Doesn't belong in first class. I demand proper service." The cabin fell silent. Alana's mom turned to him slowly. "Sir," she said softly, "you asked to speak to the owner." "Yes," he huffed. "Where is he?" A few passengers exchanged glances. Alana's mother folded her arms. "You're speaking to her." The man's face drained of color. Passengers gasped. Alana blinked in confusion. She knew her mother worked for the airline, but she never knew she owned it. Her mother had always kept her success quiet, afraid of how the world might treat Alana if they knew she was the daughter of one of the country's youngest black female aviation CEOs. The businessman stuttered, I didn't know." "That my daughter belongs in first class," she finished for him, "or that little girls who look like her deserve respect." I wasn't, I mean." Her voice remained soft, but carried a firmness that filled the entire cabin. "I don't care who you are or what you paid. What I won't tolerate is the humiliation of a child, especially mine, for simply existing in a space she earned the right to be in." She turned to the flight attendant. "Please move this gentleman to economy and ensure my daughter is comfortable for her flight." The man sputtered, "This is outrageous." Lana smiled politely. "You're welcome to file a complaint. My office is waiting." He was escorted out, red-faced, as phones discreetly recorded the moment. Alana's mother knelt beside her seat, squeezing her hand. "You okay, sweetheart?" Alana nodded shakily. "I didn't know you owned it." Her mom brushed a curl from her cheek. "You don't need to know my titles to know your worth." Passengers who had silently watched now applauded softly. Some smiled warmly. A woman across the aisle wiped a tear. When the plane finally took off, Alana gazed out the window, still overwhelmed. She wasn't used to people fighting for her, but today felt different. Later that night, in her hotel room, she opened her awards ceremony speech and scribbled a new line at the top. "Never let anyone convince you that you don't belong, especially when the sky was built for you." And somewhere else in the city, the businessman tore up the complaint form he had angrily snatched, realizing maybe, just maybe, he had learned something too. By the time Alana walked across the stage the next morning, receiving her innovation medal with the audience cheering her name, she stood a little taller, smiled a little brighter, belonged a little louder. The world had tried to shrink her, but she had a mother and a sky who refused to let it.